In this podcast episode, Dr. Jordan Peterson engages in a profound conversation with Dr. Simone Gold, a physician, lawyer, and founder of America's Frontline Doctors. The discussion traverses a range of topics, including Dr. Gold's academic background, her experiences during the COVID-19 pandemic, the January 6th Capitol riots, and the implications of medical mandates. Dr. Gold began her academic journey at a remarkably young age, entering medical school at just 19 years old. She attended the University of Chicago Medical School, where she graduated at 23, and subsequently pursued a law degree at Stanford Law School. Dr. Gold's early academic achievements set the stage for her dual career as a physician and a lawyer. She reflects on the rigorous training she underwent, noting that medical education often emphasizes memorization over critical thinking, contrasting it with the analytical skills honed during her law studies. Her experiences in both fields have shaped her understanding of healthcare policy and the legal system. Dr. Gold's desire to improve the healthcare system was evident from her early years, influenced by her father's legacy as a physician. This ambition drove her to explore the intersection of medicine and law, ultimately leading her to advocate for medical freedom and civil liberties. As the COVID-19 pandemic unfolded, Dr. Gold found herself deeply engaged in researching the virus and its treatments. She was particularly interested in hydroxychloroquine, a medication that had shown promise in treating earlier strains of the coronavirus. Dr. Gold's extensive research led her to conclude that hydroxychloroquine was safe and effective, a stance that would later put her at odds with mainstream medical narratives. Dr. Gold's conviction about the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine was met with skepticism and hostility from many of her peers. She was shocked to discover that her colleagues, who she believed would be curious and open-minded, were largely dismissive of her findings. This lack of inquiry among medical professionals was disheartening for Dr. Gold, who had always viewed medicine as a field driven by evidence and critical thinking. The conversation delves into the role of media in shaping public perception during the pandemic. Dr. Gold highlights how the media's portrayal of hydroxychloroquine shifted dramatically after former President Trump endorsed it. This sudden change in narrative led to widespread condemnation of the drug, despite its long history of safe use. Dr. Gold argues that the media's influence on public health decisions was detrimental, as it created an environment where doctors felt pressured to conform to popular opinion rather than rely on scientific evidence. Dr. Gold's experiences underscore the dangers of misinformation and the consequences of allowing media narratives to dictate medical practice. She emphasizes the importance of independent research and the need for healthcare professionals to speak out against falsehoods, even when faced with significant backlash. The discussion transitions to the events of January 6, 2021, when Dr. Gold attended a rally in Washington, D.C. She describes her experience as a speaker at the event, where she intended to address issues related to medical freedom. However, the situation escalated, and she found herself swept into the Capitol building amidst the chaos. Dr. Gold recounts her surprise at being caught up in the events, emphasizing that her intention was to peacefully advocate for her beliefs. Dr. Gold's perspective on January 6th is shaped by her understanding of political protests in America. She notes that the atmosphere at the Capitol was largely peaceful, contrasting sharply with the media's portrayal of the day as an insurrection. This disconnect between her firsthand experience and the narrative presented by the media further fueled her determination to speak out against what she perceived as a distortion of truth. Following the events of January 6th, Dr. Gold faced significant legal repercussions. She was arrested by the FBI, an experience she describes as surreal and traumatic. The aggressive tactics used by law enforcement, including a SWAT-style raid on her home, left her feeling dehumanized. Dr. Gold reflects on the emotional toll of being treated as a criminal for her participation in a political protest, highlighting the chilling effect such actions can have on free speech. The legal charges against Dr. Gold were severe, including a felony charge that could have resulted in a lengthy prison sentence. Faced with the prospect of losing her medical and legal licenses, She ultimately accepted a plea deal for a misdemeanor trespass charge. This decision was not made lightly, as it represented a significant compromise of her principles, but the potential consequences of fighting the charges were too great. Dr. Gold's time in prison was marked by isolation and uncertainty. She describes the experience of being placed in solitary confinement for 8 days, a punishment that she found particularly harsh and unnecessary. During this time, she focused on maintaining her mental resilience and preparing for the challenges ahead. Dr. Gold's determination to connect with other inmates and learn their stories became a source of strength for her. Upon her release, Dr. Gold faced the daunting task of rebuilding her life and career. The stigma associated with her arrest and conviction posed significant challenges, but she remained committed to her mission of advocating for medical freedom and civil liberties. Dr. Gold's experiences in prison only reinforced her resolve to fight against what she perceives as tyranny in the healthcare system. Since her release, Dr. Gold has become a prominent advocate for medical freedom through her organization, America's Frontline Doctors. She emphasizes the importance of protecting individual rights in healthcare decisions, particularly in the face of government mandates. Dr. Gold's work focuses on educating the public about their rights and the potential dangers of unchecked government power in medical decision-making. Dr. Gold's advocacy extends beyond COVID-19 as she seeks to address broader issues related to medical tyranny and the erosion of civil liberties. She believes that the lessons learned during the pandemic must serve as a wake-up call for Americans to remain vigilant in protecting their rights. Dr. Gold's commitment to this cause has garnered significant support from individuals who share her concerns about government overreach. The conversation touches on the long-term implications of the COVID-19 pandemic on public trust in healthcare. Dr. Gold expresses concern that the handling of the pandemic has eroded trust between patients and healthcare providers. She argues that the widespread dissemination of misinformation and the politicization of medical decisions have created a climate of skepticism that could have lasting effects on public health. Dr. Gold believes that rebuilding trust will require transparency and accountability from healthcare institutions. She advocates for a return to evidence-based medicine and a commitment to open dialogue between patients and providers. Dr. Gold's insights highlight the need for a cultural shift within the medical community to restore faith in the healthcare system. Looking ahead, Dr. Gold is focused on expanding her advocacy efforts and continuing to educate the public about medical freedom. She envisions a future where individuals have the autonomy to make informed decisions about their healthcare without fear of government interference. Dr. Gold's passion for this cause drives her to seek out new opportunities for outreach and engagement. In addition to her advocacy work, Dr. Gold is committed to supporting other healthcare professionals who may face similar challenges. She aims to create a network of like-minded individuals who can collaborate on initiatives to protect medical freedom and civil liberties. Dr. Gold's vision for the future is one of empowerment and resilience, as she believes that collective action can lead to meaningful change. Dr. Gold emphasizes the importance of community in her advocacy efforts. She believes that individuals must come together to support one another in the fight for medical freedom. By fostering a sense of solidarity among healthcare professionals and patients, Dr. Gold hopes to create a powerful movement that can challenge the status quo. The sense of community extends beyond just healthcare professionals. Dr. Gold encourages individuals from all walks of life to engage in the conversation about medical freedom. She believes that everyone has a role to play in advocating for their rights and holding institutions accountable. Dr. Gold's call to action serves as a reminder that collective efforts can lead to significant change. In closing, Dr. Simone Gold's journey is a testament to the power of courage and conviction in the face of adversity. Her experiences during the COVID-19 pandemic and the January 6th Capitol riots have shaped her into a passionate advocate for medical freedom and civil liberties. Dr. Gold's story serves as a reminder of the importance of speaking truth to power and standing up for individual rights. As the conversation concludes, Dr. Gold encourages listeners to remain vigilant and engaged in the fight for medical freedom. She believes that the future of healthcare depends on the collective efforts of individuals who are willing to challenge the status quo and advocate for their rights.